domestic violence even cross your mind? This leads to a disturbing question. Are organized crime...
Okay, guys, so this is not really a short. This is a bit of a longer video. I mean, jeepers, I don't know. I just just woke up in the middle of the night. I was checking out stupid shorts and stuff. My buddy sent me this really cool stuff on health and how you can use tree sap to heal yourself and all this other cool stuff. But anyways, besides, that's not the point I'm trying to make here. This is just, I like to expose the fraud in the corruption in our governments, the Landlord Tenancy Board, called the LTB for short. All governments in the world, but Canada is absolutely, I mean, if you watch this from the beginning, which I'm trying to figure out how to put it back to the beginning, but I can't. But anyways, if you see all the fraud, I mean, this guy basically calls the Canadian government out. It says it is a criminal organization designed for criminals. And it is, in fact, true. There is so much evidence that we, the people, have seen. Okay, we, the private people, if you're a public person, whoever you are, whatever title you want to give yourself, I don't care. If you're a human being, you're watching this, if you actually care about society, you actually are a Canadian. Hell, if you're not a Canadian, it doesn't really matter. I mean, of course, that's probably who affects the most. But then again, maybe I'm wrong. But it definitely affects us all. This is how disgusting, okay? And then someone like me that has people live on my property that are allowed to destroy my land. You know, these people are literally, what's that called again when you're helping a criminal? You're, oh God, sorry, I'm just waking up here. I'm just gonna go back to sleep. But anyways, I'm gonna let you listen to this, okay? For a little bit. Just, I don't know what he's gonna say next because I haven't heard it yet.
It's being buried in Canada's missing persons data and misclassified as domestic incidents to avoid raising alarms. And it's not just murder. Service Ontario employees were caught working with organized crime to alter VIN numbers on stolen vehicles,
Service Ontario,
enabling them to be resold without detection. Think about that. Government
funny,
staff
and the OPP don't do anything about it. The Ontario Police don't do anything about it.
When you combine our exploding missing persons
RCMP are not doing their job either.
Fentanyl epidemic, rampant gang
both criminal organizations, both the RCMP and the OPP are criminal organizations.
This doesn't look like coincidence
according
anymore.
to this.
It looks like a system in freefall.
Chapter 4. Empire built on
in 2018, an estimated $46.7 billion of dirty funds was laundered through Canada's financial system. Though some experts believe the real number could be closer to $100 billion annually. To grasp the scale, consider this. Here are legitimate Canadian industries with approximate revenues in the same range as our criminal underworld. Agriculture, forestry, fishing, and hunting, $30.6 billion. Accommodation and food services, $43 billion. Information and entertainment, $60 billion. Transportation and warehousing.
Oh, and by the way, Bill C9, here, let me stop this for a second.
Services.
And by the way, Bill C9, or whatever it is, free speech. The reason they want to put this through is so that people like myself and people like this guy, more importantly him, because, you know, I don't have all his technology, all his knowledge, all his insiders, or whatever the hell he's got. They want us not to say this. They don't want to get caught. They don't want the people of Canada seeing this because what it does is more and more people are going to commit crimes, not because they're bad or evil people, but because they can't eat. There's going to be more homeless people. There's going to be more crime, and this crime is created by the government. And if you are working for the government and you are part of this, then guess what? You're just as guilty by association, as the courts of Canada like to say. So the courts of Canada are guilty by association. They have actually lost all legal and lawful authority over anybody in Canada, any citizen for that matter, any person, any man, any woman, right? Any private or public, whatever. Bottom line, guys, this is not a matter of opinion. This is what they're doing, and then they have the audacity to sue somebody for whatever stupid reason they make up if there's a false claim. And the reason they do it is because they make money off of you. They don't do it for justice, because it's not a justice system. It's not a judicial system. It's a legal system, a corrupt, very, 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 very corrupt legal system. All right, so I'll keep letting you watch this, but I just wanted to make that point. It's not a matter of opinion anymore. When you see this over and over and over, when you see police officers making their own YouTube channels, and a lot of them I've actually watched, and you see all these auditors, some of them are actually lawyers, okay, and they're auditing the police, auditing, it's pretty hard to audit the judges in Canada because we're not allowed to supposedly, it's called a public meeting, anybody's allowed to come in there and listen. Well, if I'm allowed to come in there and listen, I can record it. And you're not going to be able to stop me. You're not going to be able to stop people with smartphones coming into court and listening, or going on Zoom and listening in and recording all this, right? Anything that tells you that you have to ask for permission is a bogus bullshit thing. Any landlord tenancy board that says, oh, well, you have to have permission to record this or to publicize it on social media or anything like that, or any news outlet, is a scam. Okay? If they're honest and you want to be, what's that word I'm looking for? Open. When a business basically says, hey, look, you can see all my books and all my records, I'm not hiding anything, then that would be the case. But obviously, they are total hypocrites. All right, fact, not opinion.
$104.2 billion. Money laundering is one of Canada's largest industries. This isn't a shadow issue. It's
a lot of it has
shadow
to do with China
economy
as well.
On par with our biggest sectors. And it's not just drugs. It funds gangs, inflates housing markets, runs fentanyl labs, traffics weapons, and buys political influence. And here's the uncomfortable
they
truth.
create the crime so that they have a job and they pretend to be the heroes.
Lobbies politicians to
it.
shape policy in their favor, and often succeeds. So why would we assume organized crime with comparable revenue and far fewer rules isn't doing the exact same thing?
Obviously. How to legalize a criminal.
Let's revisit the federal policies passed.
There you go.
under
There's
Trudeau.
the criminal right there.
Ask
We've legalized
yourself,
Trudeau.
Benefits.
Legalized
Catch
Trudeau
and
the
release
criminal.
bail reform. Bill C-75. Criminals are released quickly, even repeat violent offenders. Police rearrest the same people repeatedly.
Legalized drug
more
addiction
crime,
like marijuana.
Less consequence.
Smoking
Sentencing
cigarettes.
reform. Bill C-5. Mandatory minimums for gun crimes and drug trafficking removed. Conditional sentences now apply to sexual assault and major narcotics charges. Result: softer sentencing, emboldened gangs. Safe supply programs. Ostensibly designed to help addicts, these government-issued narcotics are often resold. Black markets thrive. Organized crime adapts and profits. RCMP's Ontario Financial Crimes Unit shut down in 2020. Billions in dirty money flooding our economy, the federal police shut down its specialized team.
This is why we don't need police in Canada, guys.
Fewer investigations.
Sorry for over-talking on this guy. I'm going to stop this again for a second.
Systems.
This is why we don't need police, because they do not do anything for us really in Canada. What we need is firemen. We need hospitals, doctors. We definitely need ambulance drivers, so on and so on. We need to do lots of therapy, right? We need physical therapy. Of course, most of the doctors, what we get in the medicine we get in Canada is a joke. It doesn't really help the problem. You got a pain in your hand, they look at your hand. They don't look at the fact that it's coming from your back. It's absolutely a joke. Our medical system that we pay into, and it takes you what? You don't even get to use it because it takes you maybe months to a year to get whatever surgery you desperately need. And by that time, it's gotten worse, or maybe you've died, right? Or it's become permanent where they can't fix it. So why pay into a medical system, right? Why pay taxes? Why? Honestly, why? I pay taxes because I believe it's the right thing to do. Sadly enough, a lot of my taxes are not, I shouldn't be paying. Like, you should pay Caesar's things back to Caesar. You've read the Bible. And, but I'm not paying Caesar's things back to Caesar. What I'm doing is I'm paying my stuff. I'm literally giving away my income. Like, well, where do you draw the line? Should I be paying 50% of my income? Or should I be paying 10% of my income? Or maybe I should be paying 90%. Maybe I should just pay a whole 100%. Because in Canada, we pay almost 70% in taxes. You're the poorest person in Canada, and you're paying that. If you're working as getting minimum wage, which I don't know what it is, I think it's like $15 an hour or something, most of Canada. It's maybe less or more, I'm not sure, depending where you live. So really, we don't need the police. We don't need lawyers. We might need judges, but they should be elected by the people, not by other lawyers, not by some bench or whatever it's called, right? Anyways, guys, I could go on and on and on. And, I don't want to bore you to death, but this is actually quite interesting. And if you actually care, you'd probably give this a thumbs up. You'd actually watch this. And you'd actually, maybe, I mean, of course, I am reposting this. So maybe you've already watched it. I don't know. But thank you to all my subscribers out there, to those that actually care about the environment, care about people, care about real law enforcement, care about real right and wrong. You know, you should be allowed to defend yourself in your own home. You should be allowed to personally go and do a citizen's arrest. Honestly, the death penalty needs to come back to this country. Then people might actually smarten up. But instead, they got rid of the death penalty and they legalized all types of drugs, right? Which doesn't help anybody. I mean, basically legalized crime. So a lot of things that were considered a crime, which still are a crime, but it might be legalized. But they have basically, done this. And the RCMP are just as guilty because you guys vote. And obviously your vote doesn't matter. Or maybe you guys are voting the other. Maybe you're a liberal police officer. Maybe you're a demonic liberal police officer that literally doesn't give a damn about religion or God. You probably don't respect, nature. Probably don't respect life. You probably think abortion's okay. You're probably one of those people that support murder. Legalized murder. Right? In Canada. Like made. But anyways, guys, enough of this. This could go on forever and ever. I'll just let you listen a bit more and I'll just shut it off.
Open border policies allow bad actors to disappear into the system, exploiting overwhelmed immigration courts. Some are later tied to criminal activity, skipping fraud prevention measures for temporary
and if
foreign
you have
workers.
enough money and you have lots of money, you can give it to the lawyer, and then the lawyer will give it to the judge. So it's all legal, it's all under wrap, and that way you get away with anything you want, as long as you have the money.
Disarming lawful citizens, Bill C-21. While criminals smuggle handguns from the U.S., the government bans legal firearm owners from owning certain rifles and freezes handgun sales. Criminals keep their weapons, you lose yours. If you were writing policy to benefit cartels, gangs, smugglers, and traffickers, you'd be hard-pressed to do better than this.
Yep. That's why Canada is considered a terrorist
People
country.
often ask why I do this. Why
because
I
our government
expose
is
these
terrorizing
things,
its own
knowing full
people.
well what history
Literally.
tells us happens to those who challenge entrenched power. But here's the truth. There's no safe path left. Every road comes with risk. The only question is which kind of risk you're willing to live with. The risk of speaking out, or the risk of watching your country fall into criminal collapse. You can stay silent, or you can live in a place where your car is stolen, your bank account is frozen, and your kids are offered fentanyl outside of their schoolyard. This isn't paranoia. It's the reality we're living in. Gotham was never a fictional place. A city run by gangsters, corrupt politicians, and corporate enablers where citizens survive through fear and compliance? That's Canada.
And if you're Batman, or if you try to be like Batman, they the police and stuff put this. I've seen police officers that put the Punisher. Okay, they have the Punisher symbol. The Punisher murders and actually kills people, not murder. It's actually technically all self-defense, so it's not murder. But they idolize this guy. They idolize supposedly Batman. But if you was a real Batman, he'd be put in jail and he'd be caught. If there was a real Punisher, he'd be caught, put in jail. Because if there were these type of people, if they really were, and I bet you there probably is, but, honestly, they wouldn't wear masks. They would do it in such a way that they'd get away with it. They'd probably be part of the reason why there's a lot of missing people. Sadly enough, I wish there was more missing people when it comes. I wish Trudeau would go missing. Just an opinion. These evil people that destroy our families, destroy our homes, and they get away with it. And there's no housing for men, right? There's lots of housing for women that have been battered or beaten or whatever. That's if they've not lied about it. Their suicide rate is massive in men. They're destroying basically the family unit. That's what family services do. They destroy families. They destroy homes. I'm sure there's decent people there that work there that sincerely are trying to help. I know there's good cops out there. I know some. At least I believe they're good cops. I have friends that I know that are actually lawyers. I have friends, in all types of aspects of life. Or maybe I shouldn't say friends, but definitely people I know and that I associate. People I've gone to dinner with, right? People that I have, meetings with, right? And they're not really secret, but even if they were, it's legal, supposedly, How do you get rid of crime? Hey, I know. Let's just legalize it all. Meanwhile, our children suffer. we suffer as parents, and we suffer as single men and women. We can't even have a hard time getting married because we're scared shitless that someone's going to destroy our marriage, like the government, who profits off of destroying marriage, right? Destroying relationships, basically. That's what they're good at, and they profit from it. Anyways, guys, you have a great day, great morning, and
extraordinary things. And no, I'm not special. I'm
do
just
something
like
about this,
you.
guys.
I know most
Put
people
your trust
don't
in
have
God, that's for
hours
sure.
to
That's who
spend
I
digging
do.
through documents and connecting the dots.
It's
but
only
you
a
don't
matter of
need
time
to.
before the
Take
consequences
one evening off
start
of
to happen
Netflix,
in this country.
skip one brunch, pass on one night out. Use that time to walk into your MP's office, drop this piece on their desk, and ask them one question. Why isn't this your top priority?
That really won't do
The
much,
question
but
isn't whether
I'm
it's
sure it'll help
dangerous
to
to
some
speak
degree.
out. The question is, what happens if we don't?
Your MPs are a joke. Let's just put it that way. Any honest politician or honest lawyer usually gets destroyed, or literally, they have their jobs. There's ways that the evil governments of this world destroy any decent people in government. It's because it's run by a demonic system. Anyways, guys, like I said before, good night, bye, whatever. Have a great day. Bye from the bear.